Hello, everybody. My name is Veronica Nieves. I am hosting this stress reduction workshop. I have put together some daily activities that you can try to manage stress. Please have a paper and pen handy if you would like to take notes. Minimize distractions and please mute your mics. We're going to begin with a welcome activity. This activity you can do with your eyes open or closed. And I would like us to first take 3 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth 3 times. Please follow along with me. Make sure that you're seated comfortably, that your posture is straight, that your feet are flat on the floor, and we will begin. Breath number 1. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. That was breath number 3. In the chat box, you can write your name or say hello. Next slide. What I'm hoping to achieve in this presentation is to go from stress, feeling so overwhelming, and feeling as if we cannot cope with stress. In other words, going from stress, oh no, to stress, oh, I can reduce my stress. And from the images I've selected, you can see that the top image, the person is very stressed out. They have their hands on their heads and they seem frozen in their thoughts and in their actions. We want to go from that state of mind to recognizing that if stress happens, we can handle it. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself so that I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. My background is I am the TAS school counselor, academic counselor. I was previously a teacher in New York City, so I taught for a number of years. And I have also received training as a yoga teacher and as an energy worker, specifically with Reiki, the technique of Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese stress reduction technique, also known as a Japanese healing technique. I have combined pieces from everything I've learned in this workshop to provide you with some activities or strategies that you can try every day. Stress, oh no. So what is stress? I looked at the CDC website and I found a simple definition. This definition comes from the CDC fact sheet in partnership with the Toxicity and Disease Registry, Substance Abuse and Toxicity Registry. Their definition is, stress is a common response to new, uncertain, or threatening situations. In a stressful situation, you may notice changes in how you think, feel, and act. So the situation can be new, uncertain, or threatening. An example may be in a new situation, you may have a new situation as at work, for example, you have a new job or a new assignment. Another situation is that you feel uncertain, and that can be revolving, as an example, around your bills. You have accumulated a lot of bills, and you're not sure how you're going to pay those bills, so you have an uncertainty around money. The third one you may feel threatened, and in many cases, people feel that threatening feeling when they're driving, specifically when they're on the highway, right? Cars are moving very fast. You cannot, obviously, you cannot control what other drivers do, and you may feel like you might get hurt or your life is in danger. Stress responses. Now, our stress responses affect how we think, feel, and act. For example, your thinking may feel confused. You have an inability to go from point A to point B in your thinking. You may feel physically tense, or you may feel the emotion of fear. When it comes to doing activities, you may not want to act. You may not want to participate in any activities. You may avoid activities. Or you may decide that the activities you will participate in are activities that are not helpful for your situation. For example, there may be an increase of substance abuse or an increase of drug abuse. In this slide, I'd like to share a technique. I'd like to share a strategy that comes from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. In his book, he shares what is called the circle of influence and the circle of concern. And this is a modified version of his strategy for thinking about how to respond effectively to situations. Here, it's called a circle of control. The outside of the circle, which is in gray, is what you can't control, and what is inside the circle is what you can control. I have the PDF if you'd like to print it out, or you can create your own, and you can think about what in your life you can't control and what you can control. For the purposes of this presentation, I want to emphasize that you can control your responses to stressful situations. You can control what you think, feel, and do next. The first step toward reducing stress is to think about how much stress you have. What is your stress level? In this exercise, I'd like you to think about the last time you experienced stress. What was your stress level? You can choose a number on the scale from 0 to 5. 0, meaning you were not bothered by stress. 3, you were somewhat bothered by stress. And 5, extremely bothered. And you can choose the numbers in between if they reflect more of the stress level that you were feeling. You can take this for any situation, and this is the first step toward realizing how much stress you actually do have. Now that was the stress tracker, right? The first step is to become aware of our stress, right? So we're measuring our stress, whether it's from 1 to 0. We're measuring whether our stress is increasing or if it decreases if we are in the same situation. After you measure your stress, for example, let's take an example that everybody experiences, being in traffic. What is the number that you have when it comes to stress? Where do you fall? For me, for example, especially in the very beginning, when I was learning to drive here in California, it was a very high. I would say it was a 4.5. I knew this because in terms of how I was thinking about it, I would avoid activities that involved driving on the highway or driving too far. I felt very stressful when I thought about getting into a car. And as far as recognizing that I needed to deal with the stress was first noticing, wow, I have a really high stress level. And so documenting your stress level is important. Number two is to accept that you have stress, to recognize that it is stress. And even though I was feeling these things, I didn't acknowledge, I knew that I was feeling uncomfortable, but I didn't acknowledge that it was actually stress, right? Because when you when you tell the truth to yourself, when you identify, label what is you are experiencing, you are more likely to be able to deal with the situation. Here I provided some sentence framers. And what I would do is I would complete the sentence. I am stressed because I am about to drive on the highway. This situation is, well, I remember that there are three types of situations that can cause stress. In this situation, I felt very threatened in this situation. And I also felt very uncertain in this situation when it came to driving in traffic and driving on the highway. So once you start to acknowledge, oh, I feel stressed because I have to drive on the highway. This situation feels uncertain and threatening to me. Then you can begin to deal with your stress. Let's take another example that is very common to all of us, work stress. If we take a look at the image, what do we feel? What are we thinking? Right away, some of us may feel tense. We may relate to the situation, and we may want to avoid being in this situation where we have stress. But what if you can avoid being in this situation? What if you have been given, in this scenario, this person has been given a new assignment at work, something that he has never done before. So the first step is for this person to measure their stress level. Let's say this person's stress level is at a 4. He can complete the sentence, I am stressed because I have been given a new assignment. This situation feels, and it could feel new or uncertain. I would think that it probably feels new to this person or uncertain that he could do the job. So let's dig in a little deeper. Let's say this person's reasons are that the new and uncertain feelings come from the fact that he is afraid of making a mistake. It's overwhelming. He doesn't know where to start. So once you've identified that the situation is new or uncertain, you can take some deeper thoughts, deeper analysis into what makes the situation new and uncertain for you. Now, there are 3 ways that we control our reactions to stress. We can do it through breathing, because breathing helps us circulate oxygen so we can think clearly. We can do it through stretching. Stretching relaxes the tension in our body so we can think clearly. And we can think of the circle of control. And it's also part of what we begin to reframe our thoughts. And reframing and using the circle of control helps us to change how we think and feel and decide to act during stressful situations. We've done a basic breathing activity, but I'm going to go back to a breathing activity. Why? Breathing is a tool that we all have, and breathing is something that is so simple that sometimes we forget we have it on hand to be able to help deal with stress. We're going to do a soft meditative breath. According to Harvard Medical School, an article entitled Simple Things You Can Do to Alleviate Stress, Soft meditative breath is very effective in reducing stress. I've also included an image here because sometimes looking at certain images helps us to relax and focus away from stress. We're going to open our eyes, and I'd like you to do this with eyes open only because if we are in a public setting or at work, we don't always feel comfortable closing our eyes, and we want to be able to do this with eyes open wherever we may be. So with eyes open, gently blow into the center of your hands. Now I'm using my hands as another guide for me to feel my breath in and out. You can choose to do that or you can choose not to do that. So blow into your hands as if they were the pappus part of the dandelion, the fuzzy part of the dandelion. Take in a breath through the mouth or nose. I'm choosing to do it through the nose, and release the breath through the mouth. Use slow, long breaths. And do that for 3 breaths. Once you've done that, you may start to feel the circulation, the flow of oxygen is starting to increase, circulation is starting to increase. The next activity has to do with your head and shoulders. We carry a lot of tension in our head and shoulders. Soft movements or stretches can help us reduce what we're feeling in our muscles, which will help us to deal with stress. I'm going to share the technique I used when I was learning Reiki. So I rub my hands together, and when I rub my hands together, they start to get warm. And then I stop and I start to feel a tingling sensation. And if I move my hands back and forth, there's like this feeling of pulling and pushing, sort of like I have bubble gum between my hands, and I pull my hands away, push my hands together. Now, once I have that feeling, I can place my hands on my head for a breath or two, over my ears or in the back, slightly back of my head, the back of my neck. Do a soft stretch to the right or left, and then the other side. You feel free to do more stretches if you need to. Then I'd like to put my hands on my shoulders and soft shoulder rolls to the back. 1, 2, 3. The next activity is a brow exercises. I just want to let you know that, by the way, all these exercises I'm giving you are exercises you can do at your desk. Some of them you can even do while you are sitting in traffic. This brow exercise comes from my knowledge of yoga, specifically facial yoga. Facial yoga has been shown to help with some rejuvenating aspects. It stimulates the circulation in the face, and it can stimulate the production of collagen. As we all know, when we're experiencing stress, we may have that stress face, stressful look in our face. It can also cause a look of aging. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your fingers right in the middle of your forehead, as I am doing, both fingers touching in the forehead, gentle pressure, and you're going to sweep to the side. Once, do this 3 times, 2, and 3. Okay, you may feel a tingling sensation or like a waking up in the forehead area. This also helps with brain fog. Some of us are like sleepy and we cannot think clearly. This helps with that as well. The next exercise is a pressure point activity. This pressure point helps with many things. It's called the yin tang. According to Medical News Today, this acupressure point comes from Chinese medicine. It helps with restlessness, and if you press this acupressure point at night before you go to sleep for about 5 minutes, it helps with insomnia. So I'm going to use my finger right between my brows, right above the bridge of my nose, and I'm going to do soft, light pressure to the right, and then to the other side to the left. You can do them for 5 seconds, then another 5 seconds, and then you stop. All right. So again, there should be a tingling sensation or a feeling of even your sinuses might feel like they're opening up and like you can breathe, take a deep breath through your nose. This stretch is recommended by chiropractors for posture, and it's especially good if you're sitting at your desk for long periods of time. So as the picture is indicating, you want to have your feet flat on the floor. You want to take your hands and separate the fingers, tuck your thumbs right underneath your armpits, and you're going to feel a slight sensation because you're pressing on other pressure points in this area. Head and chin slightly elevated. And you can take just 3 deep breaths or however long you want to do this, but I recommend 3 in the beginning. And when you release, you feel you feel the release of tension. And again, the blood is circulating, your muscles are relaxing, and you're able to breathe more fully. Oxygen is flowing more fully. Previously, when we looked at the scenario of the young man who was experiencing work stress, there were 3 reasons primarily why he was experiencing the work stress, right? It was a new situation, it was uncertain. And some of the things that in the scenario the person could have been telling himself is, oh, I don't know where to start. I'm afraid of making a mistake and it's overwhelming. Here, I want to show you how you can take this negative talk, which kind of keeps you frozen from taking action or making any decisions, to a position where you reframe, and this is reframing to some statement that helps you to take action. For example, if he says, I do not know where to start, then if you reframe it into something different, oh, I can do research. And then he has a point at where he can start. If his self-talk is, I'm afraid of making a mistake, right? He's frozen in that thought. Then he can think about changing that thought to, mistakes help me learn. If he's frozen because he feels the new assignment he's been given to feels too overwhelming, then he can reframe it into, I can do one thing at a time. Now, let's go to the next slide. I will have this as a PDF in case you want to download it, or you can create your own on your piece of paper. Think of a situation that you are in and how you would reframe it from a frozen position, a statement where you're frozen and you cannot take action, to reframing it to a statement where you feel like you can take action and you feel open, like you're open to possibilities. I have here an example that is very common among many people. Many people say, if when they're in a new situation or an uncertain situation, they say, what if I can't, right? What if they can't overcome that situation? You can reframe it into, what if I can? This activity specifically deals with your thinking skills. Sometimes the reframing activity might be difficult because you're so stuck in the negative thoughts that you have, those thoughts that keep you frozen in your stress. One way to challenge that is to begin to do activities that exercise your brain's capacity to think a little bit deeper. You can do that with riddles. Here is an activity where I've given you 2 riddles, and I don't want you to Google it. I want you to spend some time thinking about what the answers to these riddles can be. The first riddle is, what can you catch but not throw? Okay, I'll say it again. What can you catch but not throw? It'd be a good idea for you to just sit for a minute or two and just try to figure out what it could be. Could be brainstorming if you'd like. This is meant to be fun, okay? Another activity is, what goes around the world but stays in a corner? Say it again. What goes around the world but stays in a corner? Okay, again, spend 5 minutes if you need 5 minutes to try to figure it out. Okay, this is exercising the neural pathways in your brain, and it's doing it in a fun way. Okay, the next activity has to do with laughter. We want to take some time out every day to laugh. Laughter helps improve our immune system and reduce stress. Here, I'm going to present a little video. I'm going to play this little video and just laugh out loud with the video. You can smile, you can see how it lifts your mood. Just listening to laughter. Are you laughing yet? I know you must be smiling. I find it so funny. Now that short video of laughing sounds, it like really lifts your mood and it reduces a lot of stress. So I recommend you laugh every day. Oops, here we go. Let me go to the next slide. Oh, look what we have here, a cute kitty. Now think about what's happening to your thoughts, to your feelings when you look at this cute kitty, right? It's like, ah, like, you know, the heaviness of stress kind of melts away. So I recommend having a little toolbox, like your own little toolbox or your own little set of pictures that make you feel calm, right? That you can look at when you're in a moment of stress and remember that you don't have to be so stressed. You can change how you feel about stress. Here I have a template that you can use. It's a PDF that I will have on the Counselor's Corner website if you would like to print it out or you just want to write the questions in your own notebook. It's a good idea for you to begin to notice when stress arises. Think about, is there a specific date or time? What is your stress level? What is the situation? What did you think? What did you feel? And what did you do? And this is for you to get a little bit deeper into what's going on with stress, what's causing your stress. Obviously, this is just a starting point. It's a very beginning. If you feel like you need more help with stress, always consult a medical health professional. And lastly, here we have a quote. This quote is, it reads, "Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart." So if you always focus on the bigger picture, which is what you want to do down the road, what dreams that you have for yourself, the fears won't stop you. And a lot of times, stress, that frozen feeling of stress, that feeling that you can't do, is based around fears. So we want to always think, okay, what do I want to do in the long term? If I want to do that in the long term, then I need to figure out how to solve the issue that I have with my stress right now. And so I'm going to say this quote again. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart, by Roy T. Bennett, The Light in the Heart. I hope this quote will help you to think about yourself differently in stressful situations. Finally, I also have here a self-care checkoff list. It's also going to be found on the Counselor's Corner. If you like these strategies and you want to implement them every day, this is a way for you to track whether you've done them or not when you're feeling stressed. For example, you can check off, did I take 3 deep breaths? Did I use the stress tracker? Did I figure out a riddle? Did I do a brow exercise? Right? Did I laugh today? Did I do a shoulder roll? So it's all up to you. You have a set of strategies that I have presented to you, and it's up to you to use what strategies work for you in reducing stress. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of things that you can do. All these things that you can do them uh, while you're at work or in the comfort of your own home. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce the team again. I am Veronica Nieves. I am the school counselor. Liliana Ortiz is the career coordinator and partner business liaison. We are part of the student support services team, and Diana Kavalakis is our CTE technician. She is in charge of the allied health office and accounting, HiSET and GED testing. We are all available here to help you with any resources you may need, whether it be mental health or other resources. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I didn't record. Hmm.